I've got my telescope, which is a 5.5 Tech refractor, telescope engineering company refractor, and I've remote desktopped into my observatory here, and there's two computers in my observatory. There's this one here on the right hand side. This one is controlling the mount and the focuser, and this computer on the left hand side is connected via USB 3 to a high-speed camera. And if you can see here, this camera is capturing 200, and you can see my mouse there, 256 frames per second at that resolution, 1024 by 768. So it's quite a high-speed camera. Now this is just a big fuzzy blob at the moment because we're not in focus. So what I'm going to do is use my auto focuser here, electronic focuser, to try to bring this into focus. So it's a bit of suck it and see actually, but having done this before, I know that it's pretty much around the 20,000 focuser position. So let's move that in, and this is automatically moving the focus. And look at the moon now, look. Can you see? As the telescope is coming into focus, we're starting to see, because this is high-speed capture, we're starting to see now, we're still not in focus, but we're definitely going in the right direction, right? Because we're coming into more and more focus. So let's try 21. Let's try 21,000. Let's see what that does. So let's see if we're coming more into focus there. Yeah, we're coming in. Look, it's getting better. It's getting better. Yeah, nice. Oh, we've gone the wrong side. Now we've gone the other side of focus. So why don't we try 20? Why don't we try 20,000? See, there's no autofocus on this, like there would be on a terrestrial subject. Yeah, it's all done manually. So let's try 20,800. We'll move it to that. Now what happens here? Not bad. Not bad. Still not quite right then. So let's do this. Let's step in manually. So we know we're going in the right direction. Let's come in by 10 steps. And let's come in by another 10. Are we coming into focus? Yeah, I think we are. It's getting better. It's getting better. Look, we're at 740 now. This is all relative, by the way. If you set this up on your telescope, those numbers are meaningless. It's just relative to my particular telescope. And here we come in again. What do you think? Yeah, a little bit more than that. That's still not quite right. Can you see the shimmering around? This is the Earth's atmosphere causing this shimmering effect. You think about it, the light from the moon's passing through 150, 120 to 150 miles of air, of atmosphere, and it's causing the light to shimmer a little bit. So what I'm going to do, that's looking not too bad. I'm just going to try to come in a little bit more. It's very subjective. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? See, if we go too far, we're going back to the other side of focus again. And I think we're definitely going blurred, so we need to go back out again. And this is a real fine art. Some nights when you're out, the moon is really sharp, but other times there's nothing. This is dancing around like a dice in a shaker. It really is. There's nothing that we can do to get it to sharpen up. I think that's about as good as what we're going to get tonight. But you can see that that's pretty good. We've got some nice detail here around these craters on the limb of the moon, the edge of the moon, like that's called the limb. That's really nice. And we've got some nice definition in these craters here. I'm just going to fiddle a little bit more. You just look at this, look. When we get a clear bit of seeing, when the atmosphere goes still, It's really nice. We're getting some really nice definition in there. I think that's about the best we're going to do tonight. So from this, you can see that we haven't got a clear full moon in the field of view here. But what we're going to do is we are going to take a series of short videos. And this is how we create an image of the moon. As you can see, if I was to just take one exposure, just one still exposure of 1024 by 768, there's a good chance that it might be blurred, because it might be during one of these shimmering episodes that's going on here. But what we do is we take a short video, a video of about 5 seconds. Now, because we're capturing 250 frames per second, if I take a video of 5 seconds, we're going to capture 5 times 200, so 1,500 frames of this particular field of view of the moon. 1,500 frames. What we can do is we can get this software to then go through automatically those frames and select automatically the best ones, okay, by a series of criteria that we will apply. But then we can get and build a really nice sharp picture from this video. So of the 1,500 frames, we'll probably only select 150, 200, and we will then stack them on top of each other to create a really nice picture. And then what we will do is we'll use a piece of software where we can then composite those individual pictures that we make from each of the videos together to create a complete image of the moon. And what you can see here is that this the moon tonight, sorry, I'm going the wrong way there, I'm going the wrong way. What we can see is the moon is not full. Can you see? Look at the edge there. Can you see on the left hand side? Can you see? Look, we're not full. If it was a full moon, this would be a complete odd edge here. What the moon is at the moment, it's not quite full. In fact, it's a fair way off being full, actually. When it's in this state, it's called, the moon is called to be, it's called gibbous, Gibbous, or gibbous, some people say. So it's not quite full. It's between off and full. So what I'm going to do is capture a film. In fact, I'm just going to come over a little bit more, and what we'll do is create a mosaic. Okay, so that looks nice, and I'm pretty convinced that we can build a nice picture out of that. Look at we've got the shadow look in these craters up here. Can you see? That's really effective. And in actual fact, the moon shows a lot more interesting detail when it's not full. People tend to think, oh yeah, full moon, let's get the telescope on it. Oh wow, brilliant. But it's all washed out when it's like that. You can actually see a lot more detail when we have this sort of gibbous. The moon's in this gibbous, and as the moon and Earth rotate around each other, we tend to get a different view of the same area depending on how the light from the sun is falling on them. So it can vary day by day. Now it's right, let's capture some frames. How many do we want to capture? Do we want to capture by, and this piece of software is called Fire Capture, by the way. So do we want to capture 30 seconds worth? Or do we want to capture 1,000 frames? Or how much do we want to capture? So I'm going to say I want to capture 2,000 frames. Okay, I'm going to capture 2,000 frames, and I'm going to hit play. So let's do it. And you can see we're recording. Yeah, and we're capturing these frames. Look, we can see this going here. And we'll stop. Okay, so we've now captured a short video. So what I've done is I've just adjusted the field of view a little bit here, and I've expanded out my resolution a little bit to 1936 by 1216. That's the maximum that this camera is capable of, and we've got a nice view of the moon here. This is the live view as I'm speaking of the moon, and we've got a nice focus, and I'm using Fire Capture to capture this. and you can see my focuser position here. Yet again, I am just gonna come out of focus a little bit and just see if I can just see anything's changed. It's 10 minutes since we discussed that earlier on with the focus. I just want to make sure we are absolutely, now we're going a little bit out of focus there. Can you see? It's just not quite so sharp as it was. There we go, we've lost it. Let's come back in again. Let's come back into focus again, excuse me. It's very subjective. And you've got to be really hard on yourself as well. Sometimes if you capture a lot of data and it's not in focus, you've just got to throw it away, and it hurts to do that. What I'm doing is looking at these edges of these craters around here. Yeah, look like that mountain. Can you see that mountain there? Look at that. Yeah, and I'm looking at these Apennines down here as well, and looking at the sharpness of these craters up here. It's no good looking over here, because that's all washed out, because that's in the full sun. But over here, that shows us that we're pretty close to focus. We're shimmering around a little bit. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to come back off 16-bit mode. I'm on 16-bit mode at the moment, because I notice my frame per second is now 24.36. So I've come off of 16-bit mode, and look at my frame rate, how it's gone up. So I'm at 132 frames per second now, which is where I want it to be. So I'm about ready to do some capturing now. So finally I'm going to do some capturing. I'm still not 100% convinced about this focus. So I'm going to come in a few steps again. Looking at these here, look at this here. I'm just going to come in a bit. I think I had it perfectly put on 2670. I just don't think I'm going to get it any better than that tonight. You know, if you guys are listening to this, you know, you're in the Arizona desert somewhere, or you know, in the South African desert, and it's dry, the air is dry, then you're probably going to get a much stiller atmosphere than I've got here in the United Kingdom in winter. The moon is very high at the moment, but it's quite moisture laden air, and it's quite cold. It's about 4 Celsius outside. 4 Celsius to you Americans, that's about 40 Fahrenheit. I think that's as good as we're going to get it. So what we're going to do is capture the moon, and we're going to capture a video, and I'm going to make that video 3,000 frames. So 3,000 frames. Okay, and what I'm going to do is press the play button. Now this is going to capture 3,000 frames. I'm going to start capturing now. So we're recording. 2 seconds in, you can see we've only got 327. 7 seconds, we've got 1,054 out of 3,000. Remember, 12 seconds in, we've got 1,659. Yeah, you can see this going here. We're capturing frames, and of these videos, of these short videos that we've captured, and that's it. We're done. Now, if we look where I've captured them, that file was called Moon 15 to 19. It's the day after Valentine's Day, 15th of February. So if I go to my root directory where I store these files. And I'm remote desktoped into this computer, by the way, so apologies if it's a little bit slow. You can see this wacky colour scheme, and the reason for that is so it's dark. It doesn't ruin my eyes when I'm outside in the dark. So I'm going to look at that file that's just been created there. And here we go, look, it's the directory where they're created. Right, these are the files. Look at the size of these files. Yeah, they are big files, which they're going to be. So that's the one we just captured then. When we captured 3,000 frames, yeah, it's a 6, it is a 6 gig file. So you can see how much data we're capturing here. And this thrashes the CPU and memory, particularly the I/O system on a PC. So what I've done is I've captured one video there. Now, we haven't got the old moon there, have we? We want to capture the southern half of the moon, the bottom part of it. So let's go down and let's get the southern half of the moon. So make sure we're moving in the right direction, and it's not very intuitive. Now we're going the wrong way there, look. So we need to go back up again. So we need to get the southern part of the moon. And I can tell you, it is very frustrating when you've gone to the trouble of doing a lot of these videos only to find that you've missed a bit of the moon. So what we want is plenty of overlap. We want plenty of overlap so we can see, make sure categorically that we've got all of the moon captured. So we've got some really nice detail there. You can see all these rays that come back from, and it's something that struck the moon here. But sometimes if you look, you can see like almost like there's a faint outline of something there. Yeah, very ancient things have landed on top of it, but around here it's almost like there's like a blister underneath there. But that's very nice. That's a nice picture. So I have now just about done. I'd like to get a bit more data down here and a bit over there of the moon, and I've got the whole shebang there, and I've got all of it, and then we can do post-processing. We are now finished capturing data. I'm pretty pleased with that. I think we've got some really good data there. The moon is steadied down even from when I started doing these videos. The first recording I did of this was about half an hour ago when I started this video, and I've just done about 6 or 7 clips. It's really settled down now, the scene has. It's really nice. I won't worry about this like this wave pattern coming down. That's just because I'm remote desktoped into the computer, so it's not actually doing that in real life. But I'm very pleased with that. As you can see, that's really nice and sharp. Again, I'm looking particularly around the edges of these craters, particularly the ones in relief here. You can see really nice. And I'm going to use this data to create a high resolution picture. I just wanted to point to the people who are into computers and everything. I mean, this is what I do for my living, networks and computers. But I just want to show you what I've captured tonight in these short videos. Remember what we said, we captured 3,000 frames. And we captured AVI files. Strictly speaking, they're not AVI files. They're called serial files in astronomical processing. They're called SER files, you can see there. But these files are huge. I mean, look, 6.5 gig. So in the process of collecting data in order for me to make an image of the moon, I've captured tonight nearly 34 gig of data. So 34 gig of data. Now I'm not going to keep this because it's just uneconomical and unfeasible. What I'll do is I'll create my master files, and then I'll throw these videos away. But the master files I will keep, and I will use those master files. Remember, each one of these videos I will use to create a master file, and then I will use that. I will then use Microsoft Image composite editor, or I may use Photoshop. I'm not quite sure yet. I normally use ICE image composite editor actually because it's simpler and easier, but Photoshop offers you a few extra little tweaks and bells and whistles. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. That's good. That's a nice sharp view of the moon. This is a monochrome camera as well. There's lots of variations in the grey there as well, so I'm very pleased with that. We've got a good tonal range there. When the moon's more of a crescent, or a lot more detail stands out, whereas at the moment it's all like washed out, isn't it? It's like someone's face being under a 150 watt light bulb. You know, you don't see the beauty of that face. All you see is that face being completely washed out, and it's the same here. And yeah, I really find that helpful. Anyway, that again, this is the capture phase. I've probably gone on and laboured some of my points. I'm sorry if I have. I'll try to edit a lot of that out. But what we're going to do next is we're going to go on to a processing phase. So we've captured these videos that I mentioned. So what do we do next? How do we create an image of those? Of those? What do we do and how do we do it? So that's the subject next.